Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Jazzy Store Sasquatch here, and we are doing our horror movie night in the cave. I have two new movies for you here, and my number three movie of all time, and a sequel as well. So we'll start with the two new ones. The first one is Faces of Death, directed by Daniel Goldhaber, starring Barbara Ferreira, Diacre Montgomery, and Josie Tutah, a woman employed as a website content moderator, comes across a series of violent videos reproducing death scenes from a film. And honestly, for like a movie that I don't feel like a lot of people were asking for, this one is actually really pretty good, to be honest with you. It has a pretty interesting story behind it because, like it says, she's a content moderator for like a fake social media site, and she comes across these videos that are reenacting Faces of Death, and she stumbles upon it as she's going through it, and then kind of realizes that hey, maybe this is real, and she doesn't like it. And then as this is happening, we're kind of actually seeing the guy who is making the videos kind of abduct victims and do crazy stuff to them. So we're kind of into both stories here. I thought that it was very well done for like something I wouldn't even have thought about to think of a movie like this for to be honest with you. And like just it's just really well done. So we really got to credit creativity here and the imagination to kind of take something like Faces of Death from the 80s and make it into something that is like contemporary in 2026 as well as very entertaining. I mean, I was with that movie the whole time. Maybe I would have picked a different actress to do it, but I thought she was believable. Really, and I really like the psychopath, the Diacre Montgomery. I thought he was very good, and he was seen him in a couple other things. I've seen him in a couple other things, but nothing like this where it was like substantial. So that was good to see him. There's stuff here and there. I mean, there's definitely a good movie here. April 10th, 2026 had an opening of 1.6 million and it grossed to 2.6 million. I didn't have the budget, but it is an IFC film, and usually those are traditionally pretty low budget movies. I wouldn't be surprised. And on top of that, the IFC films are kind of with Shutter there, so they go into the theaters for like a week or two just to like extra money, and then they kind of make their real money on Shutter with returns. So really, the gross isn't so bad. I think that around Halloween time, I keep saying this for some of these movies that this one's really going to pop off because people are going to really find interest in it. And it's a really well done kind of story, and it keeps you with it. It's only an hour 37 minutes, which is kind of perfect for a horror movie. I'd give it a. I mean, it's kind of more like a slasher horror movie too, kind of with little jigsaw elements into it, but like a traditional slasher with the guy actually wearing a mask and contacts and doing other and going after the victims and sometimes just slaughtering them where they are, and then also playing with them, the playing the game with them, kind of like the Saw wise. So there's something there for like I think every kind of horror fan. I really think this one will gain traction as streaming comes along. That is Faces of Death. Oh, and I'll give it a solid B minus. I mean, no, I'll give it a solid B. A solid B here. It's really good. You'll enjoy it. It's a solid horror movie. There's gore. There's intrigue. And the one thing that I like is like kind of where we lost the one movie earlier in the year is where it was like a rogue cop going on an investigation. This is just a regular person kind of investigating, and they even kind of bring up the whole documentary of "Don't Fuck with Cats" and that type of deal, and like that's kind of what she's like representing there. So interesting stuff here. It's yeah, I would really definitely check it out when you can. It's going to be on Shutter at some point in time soon, and that is Face of Death, directed by Daniel Goldhaber. The next movie we're going to talk about here, I didn't do any of the research for, I guess. Play Along, directed by Jesse Pomeroy, starring Aaron Pitt and Adam Daniel Maze. And I'm telling you that is it there. I don't think it actually had any. A relentless captor preys on a young woman, forcing them into a deadly game of psychological warfare using costumes. When the 17-year-old Skylar becomes the first to outsmart him, a battle of wits ensue, a fight for their very survival. This movie sucked, I'm not gonna lie. It's two actors, and this is really hard to do. And honestly, Aaron Pitt isn't the bad part about this, and I'm really Daniel Maze really isn't too bad. I've never heard of him, but he really isn't too bad either. It's like really not the acting that kind of takes away the movie. It's just kind of like the silliness of the whole premise. And it kind of brings social media into it too, which is okay. I can kind of believe that the guy gets kind of obsessed with a little TikTok person, and then like he's like, okay, well now I kind of want her to play my game, which is kind of over. It's kind of like playing like a over and over again play, and like the longer she plays along, the more she like the like really the better chance of her survival because I guess it kind of shows a couple flashbacks, I think, or maybe not a couple flashbacks, a couple hallucinations of him actually killing her. I thought it was gonna go a lot different way. I'm kind of glad it didn't because I probably would turn this movie off if it did. Honestly, I mean, it was like there was like heavy creep vibes there at the very beginning of this whole fucking movie, but after that, it really kind of sold off. And like, I know we're talking about creep with serial killer stuff, but I'm just talking about like real kind of like weird, like fantasy type creep stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna get out of this because it got close, but it kind of veered off into another direction right after it kind of gave those vibes. I think the director kind of knew, and the writer kind of knew what they were doing there, and they kind of knew that the people are going to associate the two right away, and they kind of led into it, and then they kind of showed that it's really not like that, but it is like that because he's going to kill her. But I don't think he was really going to do the other stuff that originally it looked like he was going to do. Which is like stuff you can't talk about on social media, so we just won't bring it up. But that is that movie there. Play along. I honestly probably I think this came out 2024. I'd probably give this movie a C, a solid C, maybe a C minus. C. I'm feeling generous today, so I'll give it a C. It was just boring. It kind of was gonna go one way. I'm glad it didn't go that way, and then it kind of went another way, and then it kind of led into some more psychological stuff. It's kind of a little bit for everything for everyone that kind of wants something different. This is there. If you can find it, I think it's on Shutter. I think there's another Shutter one. So if you can find it, I suggest I mean I'd see it and just tell me what you guys think about it. That is Play Along, directed by Jesse Pomeroy. So this one is really no surprise that I've really talked about this, especially over October when I did like the top horror movies all time. This is my number 3 favorite movie of all time, is Halloween, directed by Rob Zombie, starring Taylor Scott Thompson, Malcolm McDowell, Sherry Moon Zombie. After being committed for 15 years, Michael Myers, now a grown man and still very dangerous, escapes from the mental institution and immediately returns to Haddonfield to find his baby sister Lori, which she wouldn't have been named Lori, so it's kind of dumb. Brad Dourif stars in this, William Forsythe, Danny Trejo, a bunch of other Rob Zombie consistencies with this one, and this was the unrated version that I like so much. I love the ending of this movie. There's so much to say of how well they ended this movie. They should have never really did a sequel, but they end up doing a sequel because this movie just made so much money, and the producers wanted it because of just politics and everything in the background. It really didn't have to have a sequel, and I think that kind of take away some of the tarnish from this movie. But everything's so realistic about this movie. Like you believe that that kid is going to become a psychopath, and you kind of see it transform as he's doing it. And then when you see these just idiot guards at the mental institution, you understand how he escapes. And then when he's on his way, I don't know how they can say in the like recap that he's gonna find Lori because I think it was just baby or something like that was just the baby's name there for a while, so he wouldn't even know her as Lori. So it would have been smarter to say like baby, but we're gonna get past that because that just kind of bummed me now that I read it. But he's going after someone who I don't even think that he really thought it was his sister. I think what had happened was, and it's in both movies, is she's the first person that he saw that could even remind him of his like real sister, and it just happened to be his sister type deal. And I think they kind of played away from that one in the new version of the Halloween with all those people that just really sucked and kind of brought in this whole stupidness to Halloween. But this movie came out August 31st as well, 2027, had a budget of 15 million, an opening of 26, and a gross of 80 million. And that was all number one stuff for R-rated horror movies at that point in time for any release, the opening for the gross total amount. So that was like this pillar of everything that we see today that people are just beating. And that's another reason why I just say this movie is just so great. And Rob Zombie is a great director. He really brings in a real kind of brutal streak to the realness in this. Even in the sequel, and we'll talk about here in a second, it's there. It's very prevalent. Um, I wish but it kind of sucks as the studio kind of, or it wasn't even the studio, it was the producers, it was Akkad's son, because there's just so much pressure on him to do a sequel, and there's so much pressure on this movie being just a certain way that the producer wanted it to be that it really kind of took a toll on him, and it kind of made him not want to do as many movies. I think we could have got maybe like 3 more movies, or just like 3 more good movies out of him, especially in that stretch, and maybe even like a new like movie coming out. And I just think that the major deal here working with not only I think Weinstein was involved with this, but the Akkads, and it wasn't the original Akkad, it was Mustafa Akkad's nephew, and just all the little back stage politicking, then having them make a sequel to kind of ruined it. So kind of ruined it for everybody, but I still really enjoy it. It's a really good piece of art, and it's a really great story of something that's just like kind of legendary with Michael Myers. And honestly, just the level of brutality and the level of like realness to it. Just that's why it's my number three favorite movie, and it's a 2007. Like I said, if you really look, that's probably going to be like the strong strength of all my favorite movies is around 2006 to 2010 because there's just so many good banger movies that came out around that time period. But that is the next one. That is that one here. That is Halloween, directed by Rob Zombie. And since I just like to like finish it all through, and I end up watching both of them anyways because that's how it always ends up. Is Halloween 2, directed by Rob Zombie, starring Taylor Compton, Malcolm McDowell, Brad Dourif. Laurie Strode struggles to come to terms with her brothers. Michael's deadly return to Haddonfield, Illinois. Meanwhile, Michael prepares for another reunion with his sister. Sherry Moon Zombie is in this, as well as Daniel Harris. It came out 2 years later from the original, August 28th, 2009. A budget of 16 million, had an opening of 33 and a gross of 39. Honestly, I remember kind of being kind of mixed opinion about it when it first came out. I watched it again. I don't know if I really liked the ending of it. And then I just watched it for October, and I was kind of, this movie actually is a lot better than I remember it being. And then I just watched it this time, and I don't think it's like as good as the first one because there's just like little things that are different. But I really like the ending. I really like the story, and I really like the fact that Laurie here is like a broken person because how many of these sequels do we get of these movies from the 80s and 90s and 2000s or wherever, just the sequels period of these horror movies where we not only get these young kids that are like in Scream that are getting murdered and killed, but we don't see the post traumatic stress part of it because trust me, that person's never gonna be the same again. And we really kind of see that in Laurie here, and it really does play into the ending of everything. And it is really a lot better than I remember it being. And the beginning part's just brutal when you're going to see all of her injuries and all that in the hospital, and like just remembering everything she kind of went through in that first one, especially the end. But the ending is just the ending and then bringing it in, and then like seeing how her relationship with Daniel Harris and this is there too because yeah, they're friends and they're kind of like sole survivors of everything that happened, but they're both kind of trying to move on into something different. So I like that kind of part of it too. I like the sheriff part where he's just a broken man because everything that happened, he just never experienced or never expected or experienced anything like this, and just was not expecting to experience this at all. I go through. I think it really showed a real broken people here from the first one, and I think it did a very good job of that. Even the psychiatrist is a little bit more prickly in this one too, which I believe would happen in real life. I just think that the not having the original Michael or not having the kid from the first Michael kind of hurt. I shouldn't say the original Michael, but not having that kid kind of hurt. I think the fact that she blows his head off at the end of the first one hurt this one because it was like, okay, so why are we even doing a second one? And I think the kind of like meaningful, kind of artistic ending for this movie did not help it either with the horses and the mother and her wearing the mask and coming out into all the sheriffs. I think that overall didn't help it, but I really did enjoy it going through it again. I think that if we go back and watch it, you're going to like it too. And these are my number three favorite slot was put them both together because they're both linked together like that. And that is Halloween 2, directed by Rob Zombie. Those are horror movies. We're gonna go see them. How we're gonna work it now is if I go see a movie like Friday, I'll post the video right away so you can see it the weekend. But if I kind of see it on Sunday, I'm just gonna throw it on the Throwback Thursdays, and we're gonna kind of do new movies that way. So every now and then you'll get a single or new movie, but more than likely it's gonna be lumped together into the Throwback Thursdays. And I think we're going to look for a horror series this time because we were covering Better Call Saul on Throwback Thursday. And maybe like do like Amityville Horror or something I've never seen, and just kind of do like season by season or something for or something. I'll figure that out. But we're going to do some other stuff here. And we still have that script that I will polish off and get into presenting to you guys too. So we are there. That's what we're doing for our horror movie nights for our Throwback Thursday. Thank you guys very much for watching, and please have a good rest of your day or night. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment your top movie picks for Throwback Thursday in the comment section. And see you next time in the cave.